all know, Nikon has put out a new macro lens. Well, actually 2 of them. And the first one that I got my hands on is the 50mm 2.8, and I'm actually going to be getting my hands on the 105 in a couple days. But today I wanted to talk about the 50mm 2.8 because I'm so excited about it. I was not initially excited about it because I thought that, well, it's coming in at $600 something and it's pretty much the same price as the regular 50mm. I kind of felt like it was going to be a piece of junk, but it turns out that it's actually pretty fantastic. And I'm going to show you side-by-side images of the new macro lens compared to the 50mm and some compared to the 105 as well. As a wedding photographer, I worry a lot about how much gear I'm carrying and how much it weighs, how big it is, and generally I carry around the 105. Now with the new Z system, I have to put my 105 on the converter to actually use it with the mirrorless cameras. And the 105 is already kind of hefty in itself, so having that extension on there also adds more weight. The new Z50 1.8 is actually a kind of larger and heavier 50mm than what I was expecting, because my 1.4, the old G series, was probably about that big and it weighed a little bit less. So I was actually kind of disappointed in the weight of the 50mm 1.8. The 1.8 comes in at 415 grams, 260 grams, okay. And the new Nikkor MC50 2.8 comes in at 260 grams. And you can see the size difference here. Also, let's just put this one up here too, which I'll do pictures, but never mind. And you can definitely feel the difference when you're holding it. Now, in terms of being a wedding photographer, look at that difference of what you might have in your bag. And then of course you can't feel these, but this one is probably 3 times as heavy as this one. One of the cool features about the new macro lens is it has the full, or you can flip it to a closer distance, 0.3 to 0.16 meters. And as my results will bear out when I show you pictures side by side, the new macro lens comes in at a 0.16 meters closest focal length, which is 0.53 feet. And then the regular 50 is 0.4 meters, 1.32 feet. Now, I do love using my regular 50 for detail shots when I'm shooting weddings. But this one I experimented with the little setup that I made here at my house, and I am blown away, and I will definitely be taking this one. And I might even use it for portrait lenses as well. I'm going to be doing some experiments on it. It seems to hunt and be a little bit slow to focus, so it might not be great for kids, but it's definitely, if I'm going to carry a macro lens along with my regular 50mm lens, then why not carry this one instead of this one? So while I have not made my decision yet as to whether I'll just carry the 150, I know for sure I'll be carrying this one over this one going forward. Another reason why I'm so in love with it, and we talked a little bit about the weight aspect of it, but I am thrilled to be able to use this because it works natively with the Z series. I don't have to use the converter. So I'm so excited because I'm always having to switch things around on my cameras instead of just switching one lens with another. It's like I have to take the tripod plate out because it fits on here or the bottom of the camera. And if the tripod plate is on the bottom of the camera when I'm trying to put another lens on, then it doesn't work sometimes, or it's on here and then it's bumping up against something and I can't get it off. And I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, but I basically now will be able to leave this on one of the lenses that I use with it. So like the 24-70, I can just leave it on here so that I can just pop it on one of my cameras and not have to worry about taking the lens off, putting another lens on, taking the tripod plate off, or taking this off. You guys understand. I am not going to go through how many blades it has. I'm not going to go through any of that in comparison with the other 50mm or the 1.5 that I use. And the reason is because you can easily research that stuff. I want to just jump into my results and show you what I've gotten and how excited I am about this lens. Before we jump right in, I forgot to tell you guys. So I just finished up my first online course. It's about mini sessions, and it's over 5 hours of instruction, and it's absolutely amazing. I'm actually making some online courses on wedding photography. I should have at least one done by the end of this year, possibly two. And if you want to sign up to join the wait list to see behind the scenes of that course, just join my email list below and you will be put on that wait list. So I want to look at my favorite picture first of the little setup that I did. And this is at f/22, and it is so crisp and clear and gorgeous. Now I did up the exposure just a little bit, and I brought up the clarity and the texture just a bit. I also did a little bit of noise reduction. I thought that there was some noise going on, and what it was is my jewelry is really, really dirty. So let's zoom in here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. See all of that dirt on there? I should have cleaned it better. And you can see the dirt dust speckled on the glass here. But I mean, this is just the amount of detail that this lens captures. While we're zoomed in, I mean, that's just gorgeous around here. And, you know, this is at f/22, and you see the details start to fade out just a little bit here in the little cloth section of my watch. Overall, it's just beautiful. And look over here, how it's faded out here at the top, and that just beautiful, blurry. It's gorgeous. I mean, this lens, I cannot wait to take it to one of my next weddings because I am floored. Now here is the original. So as you see, I did up the exposure just a bit and the clarity and texture, but that's the original of it. And we can actually go in a little bit further, even down to the little bit of dirt on the sides of my ring. It is just so crisp and clear, besides how dirty all my stuff is. Look how gorgeous that is there. Okay, let's go on to another one. I'm going to go to one here at the beginning to really... Okay guys, this is f/11, and I mean, just look at how beautiful these diamonds are here on the side of the watch. Look at the dirt on this watch. You can see every little thing. At f/11, your eye is really drawn to the outside diamonds here. And you can really see how this lens would come in handy with wedding photography. Now let's go to another one. Okay, this is f/8. I wanted to show you this. Look at that. This is f/8 as well. I mean, you can see, I mean, I can barely see that with my eyes, the inscriptions in the rings. This is one of my favorite rings by itself at f/11. Look at the hair right here. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, not the hair is not gorgeous, but I'm a little bit further back here taking this one so there's more in focus, but it was still at f/11. Here we've gone up to f/16 to try and get a little bit more in focus. Okay, here we are at f/8. Now this has come in front of it a little bit, which is why that looks like that. And you see there how crisp all of that is. And then I did to this f/8 as well. Down here I was at f/4.5, focused on the rubies, and I think it threw the focus. Yeah, so here we are at 4.5. I had focused on this outer diamonds here, or the prongs actually. Yeah, I think I might have focused on the prongs, but you see a big difference from f/4.5 over here to f/8. A lot more in focus. I think I was a little further away when I took this one. Here we are at f/5.3. And then here we are at f11. You see how much more is in focus. Here we are at f11, and I backed up a good bit to show you, you know, if we actually were at a wedding and we had their jewelry and items, you know, what the scene would actually look like. And I would probably actually crop this down maybe a little bit like that. Yeah, I think that's pretty. Keep in mind, guys, I did not use a tripod for any of these shots. That's important to know, that it was that easy to handle. With macro, it can be difficult, and I'm going to show you more at the end the difference between a shot with this lens and the 105, getting to the closest distance possible. Now here I laid some stuff out as if I was actually at a wedding, like if you had the invitation. This was just a thank you card that someone had sent me. But, you know, if I would have arranged it in some kind of way at a wedding, and this is f4, everything is very crisp. Everything is pretty clear. I had the light shining on that, so you can't really see the watch well. But at this distance away, everything's relatively clear. So you could use this lens pretty good without additional light. I was at ISO 80, you know, on a wedding day, generally you're shooting details like in the middle of the day in a room by a window or something. And that's another thing, one of the biggest differences between the 50 and the 105 is being able to come down to a slower shutter speed so that I don't have to go crazy with ISO. This was at f4 from a side view. So obviously when you're doing it from a top view and everything's kind of in the same plane, then everything's going to be more in focus. I wanted to show you guys how it looks stacked, and I went to the closest focusing distance at f8 there. Now this was further away at f8. And I changed the orientation here. I just wanted to give you guys some variety to look at. This is f14. So here we go, f8. And here we are at f14. And this is a little bit darker. I should have changed the setting just a bit. Raise that up a little bit. And the same shot at f22. Now, so what I'll do is let's do a side by side here. That's the f22. And this is the f14. You can see a really big difference here. And down in here. Now, obviously, if we're doing f22, we're going to need bright sunlight or additional light. All right, almost the same picture. Here we go, f22 right here and f8. And you really can see a difference at those two different apertures. Okay, now here we are at the 105. And this is f11. Now that's very, very close. Very crisp, and you can see you can see all the dirt and everything with the 105. But what I'm trying to show you is how comparable it actually is to the 50mm, and you can carry a much lighter lens. I love my 105. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I'm definitely going to be using the 50mm from here on out in my bag. So here we are with the 105 f11. I don't even know what I focused on. And I couldn't get the angles exactly the same because with the 50 I could get a lot closer into the little brush stuff I had here, and with the 105 I really couldn't do that. So it was really difficult for me to do an exact comparison with these. Now with the 105 you have to get much further away. Like I said, so it can be difficult when you're trying to shoot these types of things at a wedding. You don't need as much space using the 50mm. This is the 50 right here at f8. And this is similar as in a kind of close shot, and that's why I wanted to show these. This is the 105 at f11, and you know, it's a beautiful level of detail. It's just a lot bulkier to carry around. The 105 at f11 as well here. Here's the 105 at f22. An enormous amount of detail. And if you see, I had to go up to ISO 6400 to actually shoot this. And so some of this could actually be grain going on here. Yes, there's grain. So that's going to distort the image unless you have flash with you. Now let's go over here and let's do a little bit of noise reduction. I don't mind grain, like if I was shooting a reception and there were people, but when we're looking at a subject this close, I feel it's extremely important to make sure you don't have grain. So you would definitely need to bring additional light sources so that you don't run into this. So even with the noise reduction, I'm really not liking that. It's just sort of like a fog, like a mist over the whole thing. Yeah, and it's even worse when, yeah. And so it takes a lot of the detail out as well. So I also shot with the 50mm at 1.8. And while that is really nice, and I love this, the fall off here, I think it's beautiful. The 2.8 will do a very good job for me. Here we go, 51.8 again. Everything is pretty much on the same plane, so it's not going to be too out of focus. Okay, here is a similar setup. This is the 51.8, the regular 50mm. This is the 52.8. Now this is at f4 on the 2.8. Oops. And you can see everything's pretty much very crisp, very clear. And this is the 1.8 here. Now, of course, I had to shoot further away to get this shot, this very similar shot. There you can see it up close of the differences of the two of them. Let's look up close at the ring. There's going to be more in focus with the 2.8 micro lens at a distance further away like that. Now for these pictures, I could not get really close enough with the regular 50mm to show anything of substance because you really can't get that close. I would have to take the photo and then crop in to get something looking like that with the regular 50mm. Here we go. This was as close as I could get. And you see how I'd have to crop in there? That would be very difficult. Here's another one that I tried. And I missed the ring completely. Looks like that was in focus. You see, I tried again. You see how difficult it is. This is just that regular. Now this one came out pretty darn good, but it's still not anywhere near like the 2.8. Now shooting kind of bird's eye view, this was as close as I could get. And this is at 1.8 and everything is relatively in focus on the same plane. I wouldn't have a problem giving that to somebody. I don't really like the design, but, or the composition, but yeah. The side shot with the 2.8. So side shot with the 2.8 on this side, side shot with the 1.8 on this side. And you see there is a huge difference here on what's in focus and what isn't. But like I said, this was pretty much as close as I could get to the ring with this one. I also took a good bit of video to show you guys. Some of the video I took at 2.8, some of it I went to f8. Some of it I shot at the closest distance I could, and some of it I backed up a little bit just to get a little bit of variety and show you guys just how gorgeous and how versatile this lens is. Some of it I left the autofocus on, and then again some of it I manually focused. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe. I hope you got something out of it. Maybe it's helped you make a decision on something that you might want to purchase. I'm so excited about this lens, as I've said. Make sure and leave comments below if you have something to say. I really appreciate the feedback that I've been getting, and I will see you guys next time.